This video is targeted to level 1 CFA candidates, and I didn't want to make too many videos, but there are a number of groups of level 1 candidates, those who are scheduled to write for December, those who were scheduled to write who are now deferred to next year, and those who are brand new to level 1. We can't forget that each year about 100,000 new people find their way in as level 1 candidates. So next year we expect 100 to a little over 100,000 perhaps brand new people to enter the system. So rather than do separate videos for each one, I thought I would do one video to cover all three. And in the description box below, I have links to other videos I've done in the past that, well, you know, I'd only be repeating the same stuff. So I'll put them titled for the proper cohort that you happen to be in. Let's look at cohort number 1 up here. You are currently scheduled to write for December 2020. Your exam center has not been canceled. As of right now, you still have a green light. I'd like to say that you're writing in December, but it's probably a better line to say, probabilistically speaking, you may be writing in December. And depending on where you are, that probability may be low, all the way to medium to high. But it's not for sure. Yet, you must prepare as if it was going to happen, because you can't prepare probabilistically. You can't say, well, there's a 50% chance it's going to happen. I'm going to be 50% ready. You got to be 100% ready no matter what. If you can't live with that uncertainty, if you say, look, I really need to know whether I'm writing or not, you might want to consider deferring to February 2021. It's a little less than 3 months. To February 2021. You buy yourself some time. You have until October 20th at midnight. October 20th. Once it's 12:01 a.m. October 21st, it's over. You are locked in to December. The only way out is if your exam center is canceled. So let's assume right now for that group of people, you are scheduled to write for December 2020 and it's a go. You got 7 weeks. Basically 48 days from today, and you're over here. Here's your exam. You have 48 days to get to the exam. The learning part of level 1 should be pretty much wrapped up, or you should be in the final few readings. You should be thinking about when your first mock exam is going to be, and your mock exams are lined up. CFAI, the site under student resources, the learning portal should have a number of mock exams for you. And if you're subscribers to our site, full subscribers, on the left menu, Exam Builder, you have the ability to build, I think, at least 8 half exams. So in other words, 4 full exams, maybe even more. We don't really know because it's at random. We have a whole database of questions. So when you generate a mock exam, and if somebody generates a mock exam 2 minutes later, you're not going to get the same questions. So off you go with your mock exams. I tend to, when I do these things, I follow a strategy of picking up from the bottom when I prepare, or when I used to historically as a student prepared for an exam. Picking up from the bottom means that after I review, I'll identify which areas are my weakest, and I'll pick up from the weakest areas because there's where I have the greatest chance to improve a lot. So if I feel like I've got a couple of readings down 95 to 100%, there's not much more I'm going to squeeze out of those. There's no point in me reviewing those. I'm going to look for the areas in which I'm weak. So after you write a mock exam, you have your scores per section. You can pick up from the bottom. The formulas, a good way to ingrain the formulas into your mind is to take a day. And get your formula sheet out and take the first formula and write it out 5-6 times. And as you're writing it out, say the words. You can say the return on equity is equal to the risk-free rate plus beta times the equity risk premium. There's CAPM. Do it again 5 times, each time saying the words to yourself of what it means. And this way here, you move it from short-term memory into long-term memory, because you're writing it out and saying it all at the same time. You're bringing more of your 5 senses into the learning process. And of course, ethics. You want to give ethics its due time at this point. And I've always said ethics is something you kind of want to save to the end, because it really is about remembering. Some of it is not very intuitive unless you work with ethics all the time. It's not something that you can develop muscle memory for, or what I call muscle memory is, it becomes part of your thinking. And being that you're probably going to load most of ethics into short-term memory anyways, you want to load it into short-term memory as close to the exam as possible, because short-term memory has a very fast decay rate. So this is the time where you'd say, okay, you know what, I've given ethics sort of short shrift along the way. Now I'm going to really do it up for ethics. And if you look in the description box below, I've got a couple videos about how to prioritize different readings, that if you feel that you are not going to get certain readings, which ones are probably okay to let go, which ones are the really high yield readings that you really want to know. I'm not going to repeat a lot of what I've already said. That's in the description box below. Let's go to our second cohort. You were planning on writing in December. You're now deferred to February 2021, which is the same as saying, well, you just got kicked back in time 80 days. You just got yourself an extra 80 days on top of the 48 that's left. So now you have 128 days until the February exam. And that's just to the first day. You actually may have more time if you were later in February or even early in March, depending on when you scheduled your date. But 128 to the first day to write, to the first day of the window. Let's just leave it at that. And in this group, there's a spectrum from those who say, oh, excellent, I got an extra 80 days, to those saying, I don't need any more time. I was ready to go. I didn't want to be canceled. It got canceled. I didn't choose to defer. So it's hard to make a video for that whole range of individuals. So if you are leaning more towards, yeah, I needed more time, I'll get to this group when I describe the job that this group has. You're probably more in there. And what I'm about to describe are for candidates who feel that, you know what, the 48 days would have been enough for me. And then you can determine where along the spectrum that you sit. For you, stay in touch with the review videos. So these are I'm speaking specifically to individuals who have a subscription on our site. All the readings, most of the readings other than ethics, have review videos, and the review videos are meant to be short and to the point. They're meant to remind you of what you've already learned. And you should be reviewing on a regular basis, not every day, maybe not even every week, for something that you know quite well. If you're watching the review video every 15 or 20 days or so, and you really only need to spend maybe 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes on each reading to review it, to keep it in your mind. Use the review videos. All the review videos come with review notes, the PDFs. These are what you see on the screen. They're done up in PDFs. Try this. Make your own audio files. Take the review notes, and when you think you know a reading, self-narrate them. Make an audio file for yourself, talking to yourself, teaching you what you need to know in that particular reading. And each audio file should only be 10 or 15 minutes long at tops. So that when you're out somewhere and you want audio files, you've made your own audio files of the reviews. The reinforcement you'll get by narrating yourself, teaching yourself, is powerful. And then you get to hear yourself repeat it again and again, which might mean more to you. Self-narrate the review PDFs, not the full reading PDFs. That'll take too long. Just the review PDFs. Self-narrate them, create your own review audio files. Now you have portability. You can also take time to dive deeper into the level 1 readings that will support you when you get to level 2. I've identified a number of readings at level 1 that are going to be needed at level 2, where the knowledge in those readings at level 1 is just expected at level 2. It's not reviewed, it just takes, it continues on from that point. That the stronger the foundation you build in those particular readings, the easier level 2 is going to be. That video is in the description box below this video. So if you want to see what readings in level 1 that you should really take the time and dive deep on, there they are. And you have time. You were ready to go in 48 days. Now you got an extra 80 days. Really build a foundation in those particular readings. The other thing that you can do is answer other candidates' questions. That'll keep you sharp. This is called giving back to the community that you're going to be part of. Reddit is probably the biggest and best online forum. I think some 40,000, 45,000 CFA candidates on there. Every question that can be asked has been asked and probably answered. But if you go on there, you'll find new questions, candidates coming there with new questions every day. Reading 37, example 4, answer B. I don't get that. Why is it not C, or why is it not this? Well, pop in. Try to answer it. You will never learn more than when you try to teach someone else. Same with our site. Under each video, we have the candidate forum with a whole bunch of unanswered questions in there because, well, I just can't get to all of them. So some of them I leave for other people to answer. Jump in. See what you can do. That will keep you current on things. And again, you may learn something in trying to answer a question, because the last thing you want to do is be wrong online, right? So you're going to really be careful. You're going to read that little section, and now you're reading with a question in your mind, so the answer is going to be that much more obvious when you get to it, and you may learn something yourself. You may find that you read a question and you think, well, that's a good question. I didn't even know that I would have had that question because I didn't even know that. So it may signal to you that you get to learn a few things based on questions you never thought you would ask. All right, let's get to these people who are new. So before I talk about the strategy for new candidates coming in, if you are not using our study planner, for those of you who have a subscription on our site, it's right on the side menu, Study Planner. I strongly recommend that you use it. For those of you who do not have a subscription, nor are going to buy a subscription, the Study Planner is still free. You can register on our site for a free account. All of the YouTube videos for 2017, the Level 1 series I have on YouTube for 2017 is available on our site as well. When you register for free, the videos are right there. If you're watching them from our site, it strips out the beginning commercials on the videos, so you don't have to sit through the commercials. And the study planner is free. So if you select study planner, you get to select whichever level you want. If you select level 1, it'll ask you to choose your exam date. You can see that I've chosen February 25th as the exam date here. Start date October 17th, which is today. I plan to study 220 hours, 30 days of review, 12 hours per week. Down here it tells me there's 12 hours. It tells me that I can't. From October 17th to the exam date, I'll only be able to put in 173 hours. I want to put in 220, which means I have to raise my study hours to 16 hours a week. You'll see in a few seconds that even though February seems like a long time away, it really isn't if you're new. Or if you're just beginning this process. February is not a long time away. So if I want to do the typical 300 hours, you'll find that there is no pathway. Even at 16 hours a week, there is no pathway to get 300 hours in between October 17th and February 25th. So if I raise the number of hours to 24 hours a week, I can see at 22 hours a week, if I start now, it'll take me 22 hours a week to put in 300 hours. That's keeping 30 days of review. If I want to, bring it down to 20 days of review, then I can bring my study time down to 20 hours a week. So it's really powerful. I do recommend using the planner, if for nothing more than setting your schedule. Because once you're done entering all your information, if you just go to your dashboard, it basically gives you the dates, so quant, and it gives you the order in which I think it makes sense to do the sections. You'll notice quant, it says you got to start October 17th and you got to end by October 27th. That's 6 readings, 10 days. If you're going to stay on schedule, well, it gives you 11 days here. Fixed income gives you 12 days, etc. And that gets you all the way to February 24th. This is from February 5th to the 24th. Notice it's only 20 days of review. I think you want longer. But please, use the study planner. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. If you don't want to pay anything, fine. Register for free. All the level 1 content from 2017, the same stuff you'll find on YouTube, is organized in different folders on our site for free again, and you get the study planner. So, please use that. All right, let's look at your strategy. Okay, kind of a little bit of a busy screen, but I'm just going to draw a line over here, and I will get to all of this in a second. This is really important stuff to know. Because it's going to support you at level 2 and level 3. I want to try to knock you out of this idea that you can memorize your way through the 3 levels. You simply can't. You might be able to get through level 1, that way, but you're going to be stopped at level 2, and you will not get past level 3, and you are not going to get what you're here for unless you pass level 3. So at all times, you are preparing to write a level 3 exam. From the moment you sign up on the CFA site, you are preparing to write a level 3 exam, because you can't get those letters without passing level 3. So it doesn't matter. Don't focus just on level 1. You should be preparing for level 3 at all times. And, simply just memorizing your way through, it's not going to do it. So I'm going to explain what all this here is in a second, but let's look at what your task is. You got 128 days from October 17th. That's about 18 to 19 weeks. I say 18 to 19 because this is the first day of the exam window. The exam window is, I think, currently 9 or 10 days long. It's going to expand as well. Take off 4 to 5 weeks of review. You've roughly got about 14 weeks to get the content in. There's 57 readings. That's about 4 readings per week. When I say readings, I mean if you pick up the book, the CFAI books that they give you, each title, like a time value of money, that's a reading. It's a chapter in the books that you would get when you register for the exam. 4 per week, at an average of about 40 to 42 pages per reading on average. That's 160, 170 pages a week. And I think it takes, to do a reading well, to really know it, to internalize it, you're looking at anywhere between 5 to 8 hours per reading to really get to know it. So imagine that you've got 4 of those per week. You're 20 to 32 hours per week. So yeah, February sounds like a long time away, but it's not when you really break it down into the tasks that you have to do. What do I have to do each week? I got to go through 160 pages of academic text. This is not a novel. It's not a page turner. It's not like you're turning the page saying, I can't put this book down. More like I can't keep this book open. So you have to prepare for yourself for the fact that you read academic content much slower than you read something that is fiction. So for new arrivals, if you're just showing up now, I'm going to strongly suggest you pick May. Unless you have 25 to 30 hours a week that you can dedicate to this, I would strongly suggest May. For some of you who were deferred to February 21 because your December exam got canceled and you weren't as prepared as you would have liked to have been, that 48 days wasn't going to be enough. Great, you got an extra 80 days. So you're not under the same pressure. Maybe you've got 20, 30 of the readings already done and behind you. Well, okay, that means you just have less pressure. So you're anywhere between no pressure because you were ready to write and all the pressure because you're just brand new to this. And every day we bring in new subscribers to our site for level 1 for February. Now, I don't know if they've already attempted to do 5, 6 readings on their own and said, this is a lot of work. It's easier if I just have somebody guide me through it. I don't know what you come to the site with, but I'm just saying, you've got 14 weeks here and there are 57 readings. Doesn't take much to do the math, right? 4 readings per week. Not getting a familiarity with it, but a mastery of it. Because again, you're preparing for a level 3 exam. Level 1 you got to get through. Level 2 you got to get through. But there are readings at level 1 that support level 2, and there are readings at level 1 that support level 3. The firmer the foundation you build at level 1, the easier and more successful it'll be for you at level 2 and level 3. So if you look in the description box below, I do have some videos to support your journey through this for new subscribers. Again, I don't want to have to repeat some of the things I've already said in other videos. So as you're watching them, it may not line up with the exact number of days, but listen, you've been through 4 years of university. I think you can extrapolate the main points from a video and say, okay, well, it's not exactly what I'm doing, but I can generalize, right? All right, let's talk about this on the side. The 3 levels of CFA really work quite well if you map them onto the cognitive processes that you're going to be tested on. So there's a body of knowledge that you have to know. And most people would think, okay, well, here's the body of knowledge, level 1, level 2, 1, 2, and 3. I have to know this stuff. But it's not that simple. It's not just that you have to know that stuff. It also tests how you know that stuff. Not just that you know that stuff. So if you think the test is just going to be that I know it, very little of the 3 exams that you're going to come by here deal with that you know it. They deal more with how you know it. And this is where we have to make a distinction between the cognitive processes that you're using to learn. And Bloom's taxonomy is probably one of the best ones out there. It's stood the test of time. It's been updated over time, but it's never been thrown out. You know, no one's ever come along and said, okay, this is completely wrong, let's throw it out. It's just been modified. So let's have a look. Red down here is level 1, pink is level 2, green is level 3. Level 1 really deals with the first 3 cognitive processes in learning with Bloom's taxonomy, which is just recall, basic recall. The next level up is understanding, and then there's application. And the level 1 exam breaks down nicely along these lines as well. 30% of your questions will be based on just recall. Can you remember what these words are? Or can you remember this? So there'll be a question which really just depends on your ability to remember something. About 40% of the exam is based on your ability to understand what you can remember, and about 30% is based on application. This is where you're going to get those calculate questions. So unless you can scale up, unless you can go from remembering to understanding and from understanding to application, you're not going to do well at level 1. If you look at level 2, you're not going to get any questions on the level 2 exam that ask you just to recall something. Everything will be embedded in a story called a vignette. And the lowest level of cognitive process that you'll be tested on is your ability to understand. Also application, because level 2 is heavy on valuation, so you are going to have more calculate questions at level 2. And then analysis, which is a higher level form of thinking than just understanding and application. You are going to have a very difficult time analyzing things if you don't understand. And you're going to have a difficult time understanding if you can't remember, right? So all of these things build on each other. When you get to level 3, very few questions on recall and understanding. In fact, the AM exam will never ask a question like, list 3 advantages of something. Never. It all comes from the story, and you might have to identify something within the story as being an advantage or a disadvantage, but you won't have to list anything. So there's no recall. It's all out. It starts at application, goes to analysis, goes to evaluation. So let me see if I can break down analysis and evaluation for you. Analysis is you're given a story. Here's your story, blah, 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 and you're given 3 options. Choose the best one. Well, based on the facts of the story, you have to look at the advantages and disadvantages of each one and choose the best one and justify why you've chosen the best one. That's an analysis. Is you're taking the whole and breaking it down into the parts to determine which one is sufficient. But you're given 3 options. It's one of those 3 options. Evaluation goes a little bit higher. Here's a whole bunch of facts. What strategy makes sense? Well, now all of a sudden you don't have any options. You must develop the option. You must connect all the dots and try to come up with an option without being prompted option 1, option 2, or option 3. That's a little bit more difficult. So once you get to level 3, the cognitive processes involved in what you're being tested on require you to move up in the ability, in the cognitive ability. All of this really depends heavily on the solid foundation you build at level 1. And Bloom's taxonomy is a pyramid. Every time you see it, you'll see it either drawn as a circle, which I don't agree with. I agree it drawn as a pyramid, because you cannot build higher unless you have a solid base, unless you have the first 3 levels down, the recall, the understanding, and the application. You're not going to get to evaluation and analysis. You're not going to move up, analysis and evaluation. And of course, at the very top, there's another level actually called synthesis or creation, where you create something completely brand new, such as new knowledge. If you ever do a PhD, that's exactly what you do. You have to move right to the top of the pyramid, and you must create new knowledge, something that didn't exist before. That's a dissertation. That's how you get out of a PhD program, is to come up with something, some new knowledge that never existed before. Not as easy as it sounds. Anyways, my point in bringing this up is you really want to build that solid foundation at level 1. It is not enough to be given a list of things on PowerPoints and you just memorize them. You really have to dive a little bit deeper. When I first started in the exam prep provider industry, I was surprised at the stark difference between how things were taught in exam prep versus in university. In university, we don't know where you're going. We don't know whether you're going to the real world. We don't know whether you're going on to a research degree. We don't know whether you're going on to teaching or a full research job. So we teach everything that you need to know in terms of all of the cognitive processes that would be involved. When I first started in the exam prep industry and I saw how things were being taught, I thought, but where's the scaling up? I don't see that you're preparing the student for the next stage. And the idea was, well, we're preparing them for an exam. They're going to write an exam. That's really all we're trying to do here. Whereas in university, we think, well, yeah, we have exams, but we're preparing you to be successful in a career. We don't know what that career is yet, but we're giving you all the tools necessary to be successful in a career. So maybe you're not going to be a researcher. That does not mean the depth that we give you in research methodology goes to waste. It might be overkill for what you want, but we don't know where you're going. So we prepare you to be successful for the next stage of your life, whatever it happens to be. I find that preparing you for a test seems to be robbing you of the richness of this journey. At all times, you should be preparing to be absolutely successful in your career, which means that you want to dive a little bit deeper than you normally would on each of these concepts. And I stress that very much so at level 1. The more solid the foundation you have there, you will find that level 2 and level 3 flow nicely. That you won't hit level 2 and suddenly say, okay, well, hang on, I'm a little bit lost. So I'll give you one more little example here of how this works. We have candidates who come to our site at level 2, having never used us at level 1, and at level 3, having never used us for level 1 and level 2. And under the videos, people can ask questions. We find that the most questions come from candidates who are new to us at level 2, who were not with us at level 1, and who are new to us at level 3, who weren't with us at level 1 and 2. Because level 3 requires, again, that you move towards application, analysis, and evaluation. All of that recall and understanding part is just assumed that you have that. So we do find that we spend more time filling holes in some candidates' knowledge who have not used us at level 1 and level 2. I teach level 1 as if you're sitting in a university class. So you may get to one reading. A good example, I think, would be trying to think of some longer readings at level 1. They don't come to mind, but I know there are some readings we have, some videos that are 3 hours long for one reading, as opposed to 45 minutes. And it's because I think that this is a complex reading with a lot of nuance, so I'm going to go slow. I'm going to derive every formula. I'm going to dig a little deeper than maybe you want to go or maybe you thought you should go. And I'm going to work through a lot of the examples that are in the reading. So it's 3 hours long. But that's the way I would deliver it in a university classroom. That's the way I do it here. You're not going to find crash courses on my site. You're not going to find just what you need to know to pass. Because that's not setting you up for level 2, it's not setting you up for level 3, and it's certainly not setting you up for success in your career. Okay, so that's my eulogizing done. Is if I can leave you with one thought, at all times, you are preparing for a level 3 exam, not a level 1 exam. Okay, look in the description box below the video, and there are links to other videos I've done that support, most of the content or some of the ideas in the videos that I alluded to but didn't go into detail for. There we are.